my second question is kind of at the other end of the spectrum, the soup kitchens. This problem came up that in some cases these soup kitchen projects can kind of outsource state responsibility. How do you assess that problem, and do you see ways of kind of avoiding it?
Well, I think it's a very localized question. It's a very contextual question. In principle, for my political values, it is the responsibility of the state to ensure that no one goes hungry. I think that that's just a basic truth.
Maybe just in a lot of Eastern European societies, you don't need to comment specifically on those, but that's a big problem there.
Yeah, but I understand that in some cases the state is not, it's true in the United States, our government does not take that responsibility on. That may be wrong, and indeed, from my perspective, that is wrong. But those people are hungry, and so it's a real dilemma. I think, speaking again for my own case in Washington, D.C., there's a very significant food bank that organizes and collects food for the whole Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, where there is tremendous need, there's tremendous hunger, even in our nation's capital. I would say to them, that's great that you're able to get food at a deep discount from suppliers and warehouses and food companies. That's wonderful, and you can feed a lot of people that way. That's great. Why aren't you using the leverage that you have as a large, prominent nonprofit to press the U.S. government to provide more assistance to people in need? Why not? And their answer is, well, sometimes our corporate donors are frightened. Well, that's something that I believe they need to take on, because it's just wrong for that responsibility to remain with the private sector, with private donors.
Okay.
All right.
What does that mean for the European countries? Because, you know, it's Grantmakers East conference here. What does that? Do you have an advice or?
Well, I'm reluctant to advise in context that I don't know. I guess my advice would be, as much as it is possible to actually conduct advocacy, to push for, in this case of providing basic services, as much as it is possible to create that space and support that advocacy work, as much as it is politically possible and physically safe for people to do that, they should do that. Grantmakers should be promoting that. Grantmakers themselves, because grantmakers tend to be people in positions of prestige and power, and of course they should be supporting their grantees to do that work as well, I think, to complement and add to the work of service delivery a role in advocacy as well. But how possible that is, I understand, will be very different in different contexts.